Hello, I'm Gemma and welcome back to Non-Fic Books. I am absolutely adoring the response we've had to Non-Fiction November this year. It has been incredible, so thank you very much. I've loved seeing people's TBRs and I am really looking forward to seeing what everyone thinks of the books that they are picking up in November as the month progresses. The first book that I read in November was Mary Beard's Women in Power, a Manifesto. This was published this year and is 107 pages long, and it was published by Profile. This is really the transcript of two speeches that Mary Beard gave on feminism, and it's interesting because of that. The first speech was the public voice of women, and the next one was women and power. It's, to quote the cliched saying, it really was a book of two halves. The first essay speech I really enjoyed, and that was on the public voice of women. Mary Beard looks at the history of women's speech, the idea that really from very early on, and she's looking at the Greeks and Romans, that women's voices in a public arena were cut off, and part of becoming a man was being able to quiet the women and to be a public speaker, and that was quite a sort of identifying characteristic of being masculine. And I thought that essay was really interesting. I loved what she had to say in it. I liked her sort of way we could move forwards. I really enjoyed that essay. Women in Power, the essay, the sort of title essay, I liked slightly less. Mainly because I thought it was far too short. Obviously this is a transcript of a speech, but really I would have liked Mary Beard to have written an entire book, or even just a book this length entirely on this subject. She is really looking at redefining power and looking at how culturally we sort of define power in a very androcentric way, and that maybe instead of trying to, as well as trying to get women into positions of traditional power, we look at power in different ways. I have a couple of quotes. The first one is really sort of summarising the question that she's asking in Women in Power. If we want to give women as a gender, and not just in the shape of a few determined individuals, their place inside the structures of power, we have to think harder about how and why we think as we do. If there is a cultural template which works to disempower women, what exactly is it, and where do we get it from? This is Mary Beard. She's absolutely fabulous. Obviously she is a classicist, and it's really interesting to bring in some historical things right from fairly early on a classic period, and I thought that was interesting because it's amazing how little has changed over that time period. We think we're so modern, so I thought that was absolutely fabulous there. It's 107 pages, so it is incredibly short. The speeches would have been very interesting to listen to her talk, but I think even more interesting would have been any questions asked afterwards, because while she does a little bit of sort of suggesting how we could move forwards, obviously in a book this short she couldn't really explore those suggestions more fully, and that was the part of this that I found really interesting, and I would really have liked more on that. So yeah, I really recommend this as a sort of maybe even a little stocking filler around Christmas, but I really wish that Mary Beard would write a full-length book on feminism and her views towards things such as women and power. Right at the end she has a sort of conclusion, and if I was starting from scratch, this book, If I was starting this book again from scratch, I would find more space to defend women's right to be wrong, at least occasionally. And I think that was a really nice book, but as I said, I really wish she could explore a bit more. So, lovely little thing, but wish Mary Beard wrote more, longer work on feminism. What have you been reading so far? How have you been getting on with books so far? And if you like little books like this, do you have any other recommendations? Because I think if you like things like We Should All Be Feminists by Chimamanda and Ngozi Adichie, this would be a really good book for you. And if anyone has And the Trouble with Women by Fleming. And if you've got any more suggestions of this sort of thing, or even better, longer books on feminism, please leave them down below, because it's a subject I always enjoy reading about. I will hopefully see you in a video soon. Bye!